Standing 7'1", number 50, David Robinson. At guard in his second year from Georgia, standing 6'8", number 40, Willie Anderson. And at the other guard position in his second year from DePaul, standing 6'3", number 1, Rod Strickland. The head coach of the Spurs is Larry Brown. Assisted by R.C. Buford and Greg Popovich, John Anderson is the San Antonio trainer.
He came to play.
And now the starting lineup for your Golden State Warriors. At forward, in his fifth year from St. John, standing 6'7", number 17, Chris Mullin. At the other forward position from Arizona in his second year, standing 6'7", number 3, Tom Tolbert. Starting at center from the University of Minnesota in his sixth year, he stands 6'10", wears number 43, Jim Peterson. At guard in his first year from UTEP, standing 6 feet tall, number 5, Tim Hardaway. And to the other guard position from Kansas State in his second year, standing 6'5", number 23, Mitch Richmond. Head coach of the Warriors, Don Nelson, assisted by Gary St. Jean, Mike Schuler, and Don Nelson. Golden State trainer, Tom Abdenauer.
Well, they announced the assistants for Golden State, but they're not here. Don Nelson has them scouting at the Orlando pre-draft camp, and he is by himself on that bench, which means that he better not get thrown out again, which is what happened when the Spurs came here late February.
If he does get thrown out, he says the coaching duties go to Rod Higgins. So you can imagine Higgins on the bench designing plays around himself all night. Okay, guys, I'm going to break out to the right, set a screen for me over here.
No, actually, he said he's on the record saying he better not get himself thrown out because that would be terrifying. The officiating crew this evening, as assigned by the NBA, Ronnie Nunn is on the left, Jess Kersey in the middle, and Gary Benson is on the right. The Warriors 2 games behind Seattle for the final Western Conference playoff position. And early on, Seattle with a 4-point lead early in the second quarter at Utah, which would help the Spurs and definitely hurt Golden State. We'll keep track of that game all night. Terry Teagle picking up Terry Cummings. They announced Jim Peterson as a starter, but he is not out there. And Cummings immediately testing that ankle by driving it deep to the hoop, and the foul is on Teagle.
Take a look inside. They're exploiting the inside game quickly here. This is Terry Cummings driving in. The fact that they just don't have a strong center reach out and grab there on TC, of course, who's coming into the game playing with a not so, I guess, the lack of a better term, he's not at full throttle on that right ankle simply because of the injury that he sustained in the Sacramento game with Rod Strickland in that collision.
But as we said in Portland the other night, amazing that he only missed 1 game. And if you saw the way we came on the air, you saw how Strickland landed on that right knee. So Terry has tested it out on his first offensive chance. 2-0. Mullin behind Tolbert. And the pick and roll goes underneath as the second-year man from Arizona, who had a career-high 27 points against the Spurs. February 28 ties it at 2. Even though they announced Peterson at center, Tolbert draws the assignment against the Admiral, and that is as tough a matchup as Tolbert has had all year because he is 6'7" and David is 7'1". That's not the only reason, but that's where you have to start. So Tolbert trying to draw Robinson outside, unsuccessful from 18 feet. And in the running mode, Willie Anderson, same spot. Robinson, same result. He has really burned Golden State with 36 points per game in the first 3 meetings this year. And he's got the Spurs up as Teagle goes right into the first rejection by David.
Well, it's interesting enough, that's exactly what the Spurs want them to do with Teagle driving. They want to give the drive away and have Robinson collapse with a block. They gave it to him, and that's exactly what happened. That's the way they drew it up in the pregame meeting.
Inbounds Teagle right around Cummings, and Terry Teagle having his best year as a pro, 16.1 points per game, has brought the Warriors within 2. And that's what Teagle, as the power forward, at least in name, has to do. He's got to draw Cummings away and then try and drive him. Use his quickness. Helps out against Robinson. Strickland no look for the open Cummings. And Terry with a couple of free throws and his first field goal attempt drops, and again the Spurs up by 4.
That's how they get the ball to TC. Good passing around the perimeter there to break up the double team on Robinson.
Teagle again outside, followed up by Cummings, but not quite far enough. Teagle with back-to-back buckets. Anderson in the lane. And Teagle with a hard-fought rebound throws it away, though. Strickland there for the steal. And again, the no-look feed, too hard by Cummings. And Richmond, an excellent rebounding guard. Spreads the needle, and there is Mullen for the reverse.
An unbelievable assist by Mitch Richmond. Nice little bounce pass, threads it down.
It looked like either one of two Spurs would at least deflect it and probably intercept it. Robinson blocked by Mitch Richmond. At 6'5", Hardaway burrowing a hole in the lane to Mullen outside.
That's exactly what they don't want to do, is give Mullen the open shot. You must challenge him one-on-one outside, make him penetrate to shoot.
6 straight, and the Warriors have a 2-point lead. And you're getting an early taste of the pace that we'll probably see all night. This will not be a walk it up, bang it out type affair. Golden State doesn't play those. This foul on Tolbert. His first second against the team. Tolbert, of course, a college teammate at Arizona of Sean Elliott.
Boy, and the Spurs have made Tom Tolbert all-world.
He was all-world in the last game they played here. A major part of their comeback. In a game they eventually won by 9 in overtime. On the go, the leaner won't fall for Strickland. Tolbert there to Richmond to Hardaway. And he weaves his way into the paint. Blind reverse, rebounded by Robinson. But you saw a little of the flash and dash of Tim Hardaway. And Strickland almost airs that one out. TC leaning inside of Terry Teagle. Strickland for the rebound and the putback. Spurs get a delay of game warning after yeoman work on the offensive glass by Rod Strickland to tie it at 10.
Well, that's exactly what they have to do. Out-rebound by going to the boards. You saw 3 Spurs inside that time, not wanting to give up the loose ball.
And if the Spurs don't win the battle of the boards, then that must mean that Cummings and Robinson and Elliott and Burkowski and everybody fouled out in the first quarter. Mullen with 6. Now, the reason we say that, the Spurs are 5th best in rebounding, and the Warriors are by far the worst rebounding team in the NBA. They've won the battle of the boards only 11 times this year. As Robinson has 6.
And they make up for it on the other end on offense.
They try to run you to death. They're the leading scoring team in the NBA. Despite their lack of what Tolbert just provided there, an offensive second chance. And he draws contact from Robinson for the first San Antonio foul of the evening. And the first substitution of the evening, David Wingate. Terry Cummings goes a little over 4 minutes. Didn't look any worse.
And don't push it, and they put a smaller lineup in for defense with Wingate.
Mitch Richmond over Willie Anderson. That matchup featuring the top 2 vote getters for Rookie of the Year last year. And in all likelihood, Robinson and Hardaway will be the top 2 vote getters this year. Nice answer Willie has as he drives the baseline. 14-14.
Now they have Wingate on Mullen, and they want Wingate just to stay with him and keep him outside, force him outside to shoot.
Elliott with a more natural matchup against Teagle, who is long from about 20 feet out. Anderson to try to break the tie. Strickland spotting Robinson, driving in from the high post. Offensive foul, 2 quick ones on Robinson. Robinson trying to take it in on Tom Tolbert. And Jess Kersey says Tolbert had position. A Warrior timeout, 7:02 in the first quarter. And it's 14-all here in Oakland.
Think you've seen the ultimate Pizza Hut pan pizza?
You ain't seen nothing yet. But baby, you just ain't seen nothing yet.
the new Grand Pan Pizza from Pizza Hut. The ultimate pan pizza with not 8, not 9, but 10 great toppings. Now get one Grand Pan Pizza for only $9.99 and a second for just $4 more. But hurry, it's a limited time offer.
Pizza Hut.
How many times has someone tried to sell you something they say is as good as something else? When it comes to cars and trucks, you've heard it before. It's as tough as a Ford, it's built like a Ford, it's as good as a Ford. That's what happens when you have the best quality and sell more cars and trucks than anyone in Texas. So rather than buy something tough like, built like, or as good as, buy quality. Buy number one. Buy a Ford.
Texas Ford and you.
Get set for a spooky weekend. Compliments of your favorite Scaremaster on USA and Paragon Cable. Introducing Shadow Theater with your host of horror, Robert Englund. Let Freddy Krueger captivate you for a packed half hour featuring spectacular scenes from horror shows, plus interviews with the superstars of suspense. It's happening exclusively on USA Fridays and Saturdays on Paragon Cable. And don't be late. Freddy hates to be kept waiting.
Here's a look at what picked up David Robinson's second personal foul in the first quarter. This is Robinson on the drive. Tom Tolbert will be guarding. See if his feet are planted. They say he had position. A little acting on the part of Tolbert at the same time to draw the foul against Robinson, and he is now on the bench.
Not much of a rest for Terry Cummings, who's back in. Both teams shooting well. We've had 4 ties, including where we are now at 14-14. And Tolbert now picked up by Cummings. Mullen, first three-pointer. Rebounded by Teagle, right back to him, and a foul on Wingate, who thought he had a clean strip of the ball. So the Spurs aggressive defensively inside, but it cost Wingate. And Mullen, the 5th best free thrower in the NBA, will go to the line at 89%. He's ranked in the top 10 in 3 categories: 7th in scoring at 25 per game, 5th in free throwing, 10th at 54% from the field.
And when you look at the dynamic duo, that's Mullen and Richmond, they're both trying to become the first teammates in NBA history to shoot better than 50% from the field and 86% from the free throw line.
Mullen looking for another milestone, the last man to finish in the top 10 in those 3 categories. 20 years ago, Sweet Lou Hudson of Atlanta. Count that one for Willie Anderson, and he'll have a 3-point chance. Willie again taking it in deep, and the foul is on Teagle.
Okay, this time it's Tolbert who's going to draw the foul. This time he does not have position. He still gives way this time to see if he can draw the foul. This time they will not give it to him.
Now they correct that, as you already did. It obviously was on Tolbert rather than the man they had announced, Teagle. So 2 on Tom Tolbert, and the 3-point play gives Willie 5 and the Spurs the lead. Outside, Hardaway and Strickland. We've seen what a good rebounder he is the last couple of weeks. Cummings thought about a 3. He'll take the 2. Teagle controls. Averages 4.5 boards per game at power forward. Hardaway on the pretty feed from Mullen. And another Spur foul. This will be the first on Cummings and the 3rd against the team.
But once again, the Warriors get down court quickly. They catch the Spurs a little lax on defense. A great assist inside and almost a perfect basket. Threading the needle with a quick bounce pass.
Here's another way the Warriors overcome their horrendous rebounding. They get to the line at what may turn out to be a club record pace this year. And when they get there, that's very unusual for any of them to miss. They're 3rd best in the league at 81%.
Yeah, that's the one place you do not want to put them in this game, because rarely they do give up an opportunity to miss a free throw.
They get to the line more than any NBA team. That's their 2,122nd free throw made this year. And Hardaway ties it at 17. Don Nelson, a trademark of his coaching, whatever he considers a plus, he will accentuate that and try to hide their lack of rebounding in this case. And Elliott can't get it to crawl in. It's knocked out to Hardaway. Blows past Wingate into traffic, and Mullen scores in heavy traffic as he is fouled. Willie Anderson got Chris Mullen, who really earns this Three-point opportunity.
Well, what happened is Willie was forced to switch off as Gate was trying to pick up Hardaway on the break. Anderson was trying to get in front of Mullen on the break.
Mullen now with 11. So after the Spurs had a couple of early leads, they now trail for the first time by 3. Mullen 4 of 5 from the field to start the game. And a throwaway. Strickland thought Wingate was going deep. Richmond the easy steal. But his pass behind Mullen. Hardaway. Open man, Richmond. The key, though, despite the swish by this man, was the feed. It was perfect.
Yeah, and they get the man open by passing the ball well. Penetrate, kick it out to the open man.
Just his first year, Hardaway knows where everybody likes the ball, and he almost gets a steal. Strickland over Tim Hardaway. Rod with his hands full tonight. Outscored Hardaway 4-1 so far. Spurs back within 3. Hardaway in deep to answer. 14th pick in the draft, and just the 3rd point guard selected. 4th if you consider George McLeod, who was an off guard in college as a point guard.
And leads all rookies in assists and steals.
And Strickland in deep inside of Mullen. So Rod more than holding his own in the matchup. 24-21 Warriors. Clear out for Tolbert. But he's short from about 15 in the fall away, and then a loose ball foul on Golden State. This is on Sharunas Marshallonis, who just checked into the game. 4th team foul. Best friend of Uwe Blab when the man who is now the Spurs backup center was here at Golden State. They really struck up quite a friendship, and Marshallonis hated to see Uwe traded away.
It was his chess partner. Didn't have anybody to match up with.
Uwe helped teach him English, the ways of the NBA, because he went through it himself as a foreign-born NBAer. Strickland on the backhand. Rod Strickland with an electrifying move. And in the absence of David Robinson, he's taken over the Spurs scoring as they come back within 1. Richmond in deep. Got Anderson to stagger backwards off court. And the 18th leading scorer in the league. At 22.4 per game, it's Richmond. Anderson, great timing on the drive. Cummings dropped it, got it back, easy 2.
Well, I like the reaction of Terry, because at first he was going to go to the right side, and when he fumbled it, he had the sense enough to go to the left.
Hardaway, another pretty feed inside to Mullen, but they will wave off the basket contact before he got it, and that's the number 2 foul of the night on Wingate.
Wingate trying to force him out on the penetration, but actually that's exactly what the Spurs want. They want Mullen to penetrate. Try not to pick up the foul doing that. Just keep him outside. If he goes outside, make sure you got a hand in his face. Make him penetrate.
Mullen, without question, the team leader under Don Nelson. Beat a pretty well publicized problem with alcohol a couple of years ago. Has never looked back and has never played better. He has reached his peak at age 26. But you say it's his peak only because you don't know how much better he'll get in the next couple of years, probably with his work ethic quite a bit better.
He keeps improving. It's almost as he came off of that situation with the alcohol problems and had something not only improve to himself, his fans, his coaches, his family. He's responded very well.
One way he's helped himself is he's dropped quite a bit of weight much quicker without a whole lot of foot speed to begin with. Larry Brown with a timeout. His Spurs trail the Golden State Warriors by 3 at 3:24 remaining in quarter number 1 here in Oakland. 28-25, 3:24 in the first quarter.
And when you look at it, the Warriors have made more three-pointers than the Spurs have attempted all season.
They've made 224. Clear out. Terry Cummings over Rod Higgins, who just checked in. 8 in the quarter by the man who returned after dismissing 1 game with the ankle injury, Terry Cummings. Hardaway sticking outside, and a rebound in full stride by Wingate, but the Warriors get back defensively. Spurs now 12 of 21 from the field as Elliott hits his first attempt. Shone quiet lately after he had that long run where he could barely miss.
But again, it's not a lack of effort. I think it's in a situation that Rod Strickland wasn't finding him open, wasn't penetrating enough to get him open.
Hardaway right past Strickland. And the 6-footer who went to the same high school as Terry Cummings in Chicago, Carver High School. In fact, they got to know one another on the playgrounds there, although Terry preceded Hardaway by a few years. So they are good off-the-court friends. 30-29 Warriors. Wingate over Marciulionis. Always a good sign when Wingate knocks down his first attempt from the field.
Against Portland, 10 points. He was 4 of 12 from the field, but he had 3 steals, so he also has a very good defensive game that they like to do.
He's got to concentrate on defense here. The matchup with Mullen. Hardaway almost got a miracle to fall. Mullen for the putback, and he's rejected by Terry Cummings.
Boy, Cummings has really come in at the aid of the Spurs, and David Robinson gets into some early foul trouble. And here's a guy who wasn't even expecting to go tonight earlier this afternoon, and here he is playing heads-up defense inside.
Fresh 24. Exactly 2 minutes to go in the quarter. And in the 2-man game, Mullen overthrowing Teagle, who was being held by Willie Anderson. That is foul number 2 on Willie.
Well, they're trying to get Willie in front of the pass. Frank Burkowski checking in here. Very important game here for Frank Burkowski. Had a little heart-to-heart discussion this afternoon with assistant coach Greg Popovich. And Popovich basically told him that it's time for him to pick it up down the stretch. Not to get into foul trouble, and at the same time not get himself thrown out of the game.
Time for him to be in the game down the stretch.
Exactly.
For one thing.
He has to be, because off the bench, he is the guy that's going to provide the spark for this team along with Wingate. If he's not in the game, especially in a situation like this where Robinson's in foul trouble, they could really be in serious trouble tonight.
Well, and a good point to make in this building, because the last time the Spurs came in, that was one of Brick's 3 ejections. He was thrown out for fighting along with Terry Teagle, who was also thrown out. And then in the aftermath, that's when Don Nelson got himself thrown out. But that also is precisely the point where the Warriors mounted their comeback. So it turned into an effective strategic decision by Nelson. 32-31 Golden State. Reggie Williams also into the game. And Strickland has hit 4 straight from the field. He has a 10-point first quarter.
You want to know what's more amazing? Against Portland, he was 6 of 6 from the free throw line.
Has yet to get there tonight, but if his field goal work is any indication, it's not anything to fear, which hasn't always been the case with Rod Strickland this year. Marciulionis called for steps, as the Spurs will get Robinson back in, and they have more than held their own since he picked up his second foul.
And you can credit Rod Strickland there for dogging Marciulionis, trying to force him to the outside to shoot, and wouldn't give him the penetration that time. Good move by Strickland.
And a good 8-point quarter. Solid work by Cummings. Reggie Williams with 10 points off the bench in just 11 minutes Sunday in Portland. Now Robinson against Peterson, the man who was announced as a starter, but seeing his first action. Wingate on the run, too much. Higgins. As we're inside of a minute, the long feed is fumbled away by Teagle, who took his eye off the ball. You can't do that on an over-the-shoulder catch.
The situation on the other end is Burkowski, who must get positioned inside for those rebounds. He's got to pick his game up a hair on the defensive level. Forget about scoring, get to the boards.
Richmond back in for Higgins. He now picks up Williams. Teagle gambled for the steal, and he's matched with guess who? Burkowski. Robinson knocked out, and it looked like it might have touched Teagle last, but nobody argues, and it'll be Warrior ball.
It did touch Teagle last, just no one saw it.
Quick 3-point pull-up. Hardaway way off. Robinson almost tangled up with the feet of Peterson. 20 to shoot, 25 to play in the first quarter. Spur ball up 1, 33-32. No surprise at all. The pace of this game, the high score. Spurs won the first meeting with 121 points, lost the second with 135, and won the third meeting with 131 points. And Marciulionis just in time. The snowbird basket, and then a steal by Peterson, who travels as the buzzer sounds. Now Kersey may reinstate some time on the clock here. He has not yet called this quarter over, and they will reset 5/10 of a second on the game clock because Peterson walked after his steal.
No question about it. He took steps immediately after he caught the ball. Kersey was right on top of the play, blew the whistle. The buzzer went off after the whistle.
And Reggie Williams will inbound it. Half a second to go, and it will be a Wingate 40-footer, not there. And now it's officially the end of the first quarter. So the bucket by Marshallonis gives the Warriors a 1-point lead at the end of one. Our score, Golden State 34, San Antonio 33.
But he has come alive with 8 points in the first quarter of action tonight. Here's a feed by Willie Anderson around the back of Tolbert, and then Willie takes, or I should say Terry takes it to the opposite side of the basket after he bobbled it. Notice he was going to go to the right, bobbled it, decided to change sides and go to the left to prevent anyone from coming in and blocking the shot.
Encouraging quarter by Cummings. He had 8, just 2 behind the Spurs scoring leader, Rod Strickland, right there with 10 points. Mullen with 13. No other Warrior had more than 6, and they lead 34-33.
An impressive quarter by Rod Strickland, who really made up for the difference that David Robinson had to sit much of the first quarter on the bench by taking it inside on a weak position at center against Tolbert.
David, who picked up an early second foul, held his 6 first quarter points. Larry Brown and Greg Popovich really working on the Spurs' competitiveness, and it started to pay some big dividends in the fourth quarter at Sacramento. They thought that was the big reason why they were upset against Minnesota and blew the 19-point lead at Dallas. And competitiveness, not a problem even in the loss in Portland. That's a game where they could have been blown out and only lost by 7. Miss on the drive by Terry Teagle. Strickland to Wingate. Spurs can recapture the lead. Reggie Williams, who came in late first period. Robinson snaking underneath Jim Peterson and then draws the foul.
That's the way to do it. Robinson takes it straight in. He makes the up fake, and he draws the foul, this time against Mitch Richmond.
First team foul of the period.
That is his first. One more look.
Here's a look at it. Watch him snake around Peterson here. That's the way to do it. Gets him to go up on the up fake, and then as Richmond collapsing over on defense, draws the foul there off the forearm, and Robinson goes to the line.
Big free throw here. If he makes it, he is now the Spurs all-time free throw record holder. That makes him 566 makes this year. And he breaks the record of Captain Late, James Silas, in 75-76.
I don't think Si's going to mind if that record falls to a young man like David Robinson.
He's got plenty of company. A few of his teammates have seen their records fall. Spurs by 1. Richmond on a penetration, and Brakowski with weak side help gets the rejection. Good work by Frank. At the other end, Robinson following it right into the hands of Greg Simmons, but unfortunately he is not on the playing court. It's Warrior ball, but a much better
much
job.
better than the last time.
You just didn't have the hands in Portland, but you've worked on that, obviously.
And they kept the headset on this time. The nose is still, by the way, swollen.
It's the NBA.
You play with pain.
Push against the Spurs as Teagle goes inside of Frank Brakowski, his first foul.
43, Frank Brakowski.
Golden State's offense, you will notice some similarities to the passing game employed by Larry Brown and the Spurs. It looks helter-skelter from time to time, but there is rhyme and reason to it. Peterson rebounded by Brick. Strickland throws it away, intended for Williams. That one a bit too dangerous with 2 Warriors along the baseline. Out of the hands of Peterson, but Teagle is there and he gets fouled again. And again it is Brakowski.
Well, Brakowski up until this point was doing so well inside on defense. Now's not the time to pick up quick fouls because they're going to need Brakowski down the stretch. Here's the inside dish off to the inside. He reaches in. They call a foul after. It wasn't on Peterson. It was after Peterson tried to get it up.
7th point by Terry Teagle. And another Southwest Conference product. Johnny Moore checking in for Rod Strickland.
Now, Teagle, of course, saw his scoring record fall in the Southwest Conference to Travis Mays this season.
Held it for 8 years after he left Baylor. And it took Mays into the postseason, but he did finally break the all-time conference scoring record. Back in 4th game, neither team significant lead yet. They double team Robinson. That leaves Reggie Williams open. And Reggie may get a crack at that rebound. And Robinson kept volleying up and up and up, finally knocked it out.
Counted 5 times is how many times he tried to go up for it. Peterson was in his face the whole time.
Spurs return Cummings to the game. Brikowski back out. 2 quick fouls on Brick. 36-35 Golden State. First 2 minutes, second quarter. Hardaway. Well guarded that time by Moore, would not let him get inside. Marciulionis draws a foul. You're seeing why Golden State leads the league in free throws attempted and made. They are relentless drivers. They make you reach defensively.
And you really have no choice. It's that situation. What they should have done on Marciulionis, figuring he was going to drive, collapse over on top of him, forcing him to give up the ball and hopefully get turnover.
And Sean Elliott has to replace Wingate, who picks up his 3rd foul. He's got 3 Spurs already with 2. Hardaway through the entire defense, somehow can't get it to go. And a Warrior loose ball foul. They get Peterson.
No question about it. Peterson this time over the back on David Robinson as they both crash to the boards. Peterson comes charging over the top here. Watch as they put the shot up. Here's a shot by Hardaway. And then watch coming to the right of your screen. That is Peterson. He goes over the back of David Robinson.
Moore underneath. Cummings fall away. Moore for the spectacular putback. Once again, we get a highlight play from Johnny Moore. And Marciulionis has an answer at the other end. And a 3-point opportunity. Foul is on Reggie Williams as Tom Tolbert replaces Jim Peterson. If Johnny Moore's not making a 4-point play, he's coming in and pulled off the bench, hitting a 3-pointer or hitting a shot like that.
Well, we saw him back down in one particular play in Sacramento where he put it up just over the top of his head. We also saw him with a 4-point play, a 3-pointer. Derek Harper fouled him and sent him to the line for the 4-pointer against Dallas. He's got it all.
And he is at this point in his career a fringe player, but as he knocks down the 3, not many fringe players make the plays that he does in limited time.
Just his 8th 3-pointer of the season, but comes at a perfect time.
Right back in a hurry was Tolbert. Impossible to relax defensively against the Warriors. 41-40. Williams against Richmond. There's the Arizona matchup. Elliott guarded by Tolbert. There is the left-handed scoop, and an encouraging sign when Williams takes it hard to the glass. Off the glass for his first bucket. 42-41. Richmond stuffed by Reggie. Out to Marciulionis. But the fans still buzzing about Williams' defensive prowess. And Moore ahead to Elliott. And Tolbert makes him lean inside. The bucket counts.
Oh, did you see Reggie Williams? Now, this is a guy who has no upper body strength, and he rejects inside like that. Incredible move.
You see him loosening up. You see him trying things that you can't do if you have the crisis and confidence that we're told he had at both L.A. and Cleveland. Hardaway with a nice running one-hander to answer.
And he gets open on a nice screen set by Tolbert.
Double team inside. So the 2-man game back and forth. Cummings, now Williams. Throws it away. Didn't look at Moore, and he should have. Warriors return Mullen to the game. He had a 13-point first quarter, and he replaces Mitch Richmond. They're almost interchangeable, the Warriors. They can get a forward in for a guard because really they're just about the same thing. Teagle's a guard. He's playing power forward. Richmond occasionally in a forward spot. Mullen, one of his few misses, but another foul on Williams.
Williams' performance over just the last couple of games has really picked up considerably, not only on offense but on defense as well. He comes in, he had 11 minutes. That's his season high, of course, with Portland. 10 points. He was 5 of 12 from the field. Also had 12 rebounds.
In those 11 minutes, as Mullen hits, 5 fouls on Reggie, so he almost fouled out in less than a quarter. Not a record, though. This was worth looking up, I decided. Mullen, as impressive a free thrower as the Warriors have, but misses there. Not even close to the record. Quickest foul out in NBA history, 5 minutes. 6 fouls in 5 minutes. Dick Farley, you remember him.
Well known.
Of Syracuse in 1956. Outside, not quite for Williams. Elliott with a hard-fought offensive rebound, and back inside but Williams rejected by Teagle. The Spurs lobbying for a goaltend call. And Robinson from behind Hardaway. Williams will get one more chance. No goaltending when he wanted it, but he got the slam dunk to put the Spurs up by 2. And then knocks it away from Mullen. Elliott trapped briefly in the backcourt. Now Moore, and Brown says hurry it up. We got people open. Down the baseline. Hammered is Reggie Williams. Lands hard on the left side of his rib cage. And Reggie Williams starting to look like the player he was at Georgetown. If this turns into any kind of missed time for him, what a shame.
Oh, it was Hardaway that fouled him, and fouled him hard, grabbed him as he broke to the basket. It was a clothesline, took him right off his feet, and he landed hard on his left rib cage.
Golden State with a timeout as John Anderson checks on Reggie. 6:48 to go in the half, and the Spurs up by 2.
As he takes a shot at the basket here, watch his break down the baseline here, and watch Tim Hardaway come over and clothesline him as he goes to the basket around the neck and takes him down. It looked for a moment like he could have seriously injured his ribs, so Reggie is back in the game and back at the free throw line to take the shots.
That is a major league free throw, because he is not showing it, but you know he feels how he landed, and Teagle fumbles the rebound out, so the Spurs get a break, up 47-44.
During that break, Larry Brown was very angry with Johnny Moore. He wants Moore to push the ball up the court quicker, because what he finds is it gives time for the Warriors to get back on defense when they've got a mismatch down there, a 4-on-3 or a 3-on-2.
Moore in the corner. Now Robinson guarded by Manute Bol and goes right underneath him. That is what he needs to do and wants to do every time Manute challenges him. This is the first that we've seen Manute tonight. Teagle challenging Terry Cummings in a shooter's roll. 10-point half by the former Baylor Bear.
And we'll be talking to Manute Bol at halftime.
This time he picks up Cummings, and that leaves Elliott free, and he can't get it. Robinson for the putback. Manute occupied by Cummings, so that left Robinson plenty of room. Kelvin Upshaw, number 7, just into the game, a 2-pointer. Rebounded in the corner by Teagle, but he stepped out of bounds.
Well, you hear Larry Brown yelling. As soon as the Spurs scores, he wants everyone back on defense to stop the break that the Warriors are trying to get off of any Spurs basket.
Halfway mark of the second quarter. And as big a margin as the Spurs have enjoyed so far. 5 points, 51-46. Willie Anderson back in for Reggie Williams. And Cummings over Bol, who ends up with the loose ball at 7'7". Never had to leave his feet for that one. Richmond doubled. In it goes to Upshaw. Back out. Terry Teagle. And the Spurs double team, but they leave Upshaw open. That's what they had in mind. Upshaw, just a 41% shooter. And a man who's played for 3 different CBA teams. Ball thrown behind Cummings by Moore.
And Moore claiming he was grabbed by Teagle in the attempted pass.
Teagle replaced by Rod Higgins. If the Spurs win, they have 50 for the first time since 82-83. And if the Warriors win, they keep heat on Seattle, which trails at Utah at halftime, 49-47. They trail the Sonics by 2 games for the last spot in the Western Conference playoff picture. Warriors turn it over on the offensive foul.
Now this time it's Johnny Moore who's a recipient.
Well, and none mistakenly signals that Moore committed the foul.
But it's actually Mullen, I believe they're going to call it on.
Well, the PA announcer's still waiting for the indication. Should be Mullen. And finally it is his first, as Strickland replaces Johnny. Deep in the corner, Sean Elliott regaining the range over his previous 2 games, is 3 of 14 from the field. Anderson challenging Richmond. Good help inside defensively. Manute for 3. Happens fairly often. If you've never seen him toss one up, the sight is unforgettable. But he's done it now 9 times this year, 20 last year.
And now he and Robinson get tangled up inside, and they'll call it on Manute Bol holding on David Robinson. But it's interesting you say, he said put it up. Actually, he's shooting down to the basket almost.
Good point. He really, literally really is once he extends his arm. Marciulionis back in for the Warriors.
I asked him if he has a green light for the three. He says, no, not really, not here.
Well, I asked Uwe Blab if they actually run plays for him to get a three. He says, no, absolutely not. Not that he plays, but he's not shy about jacking him up. Warriors rotate well defensively. And Anderson around Bol. Good feed, and Bol again fouling David Robinson. Outstanding passing timing by Willie Anderson on his move to spot David Robinson.
Well, it's not the contact with the ball, it's the contact in David's head. Watch him try and snake right around and watch him catch him on the side of the head here. He also gets the ball, but the crowd does not see the fact he made contact with David's head.
Robinson already with the new club record for made free throws. And there's his first miss. Not to bring up thoughts of a jinx or anything, but in the last couple of games, they've actually seemed to shake that free throw problem. Richmond for the fall away. 8 by the former Kansas State All-American, and the Spurs lead is 3. Cummings, a move on Higgins behind the Robinson screen. It's Bol who rotates out. And again, Anderson over Mitch Richmond. Willie with 7. Trying to shake a bit of the shooting slump himself. 42% over his last 3 games. Marciulionis spins and is hacked by Strickland. First foul on Rod. They have the bonus and have had it for some time.
Marciulionis is adding the foreign flavor to this game. He is one of 6 players that are from foreign countries. 4 for the Golden State Warriors, 2 for the Spurs. And I don't guess you should call Marciulionis a Soviet product anymore because he's from Lithuania. Who has declared his independence, of course, in the USSR.
Something he was much in favor of. Of course, he watches those developments a little more closely than the rest of us tend to. Larry Brown with the timeout. 3:22 in the half. And here at Oakland, the Spurs in an offensive show with Golden State on top by 3. Our score, the Spurs 56, Golden State 53. Without their supporters here in Oakland, Spurs owner Red McCombs and his lovely wife Charlene, and Spurs Vice President Russ Bookbinder and his lovely wife, equally lovely, Tammy, all in attendance here in Oakland. In fact, the McCombs have been on the entire road trip with the Spurs. 14 team fouls already. This is just a typical Golden State game. They spend so much time on the line. But the Spurs lead by 3. Warriors go to the trap in the half court, and the Spurs have no problem moving the ball around. 8 on the shot clock. Anderson, good feed, the jam by the Admiral. We've seen some of the best passing by Willie Anderson of the season here in the second quarter.
Well, we stated that you need to exploit the inside game with David Robinson, especially when he's matched up against Manute, and that's exactly what they're doing tonight.
And Manute throws it away. David ahead to Elliott, and he'll pull up over Bol. 8 by Sean. The lead is 7. 60-53. Hard-nosed defense by the Spurs. Good ball movement. Good shot selection. Bol for his second 3, way off this time, and it's fumbled away by Richmond to Strickland. He's got Robinson if he spots him in time. And off the chest of David to Strickland to Elliott to David again.
All planned, all drawn up.
Absolutely. Mark that one on the videotape. You know, when you look at Rod handle it that way, it looked planned. He never missed a beat.
Well, I like his Strickland inside again to pick up the loose ball on defense.
Mullen inside. They turn. Again, very sloppy play by the Warriors here in the second quarter, and Elliott can't make him pay.
Yeah, especially having to go over a guy who like Bol, who's 7'7".
That time he finally came off his standing position, though. Marciulionis almost turns it over, going around the waist. And we may have a loose ball foul. Ronnie none will call it on Terry Cummings.
Yeah, they have a Chris Mullins sandwich. It's Terry Cummings. It looked like over there on the right-hand side, Sean Elliott as well.
Mullins with 14 points, but only one here in the second period. Other finals from around the NBA. Boston over New Jersey 112-96. Atlanta wins at Philadelphia. That's a huge win for the Hawks, still battling in the East 123-111. Houston wins at Charlotte 115-112. They are just behind Seattle in the West as Mullen knocks them both down. Milwaukee wins at Orlando 130-127. Indiana by 2 over Washington. That's an equally big win for the Pacers 107-105. Strickland to Brikowski, right back to Rod, and he got Marshallonis up off his feet, and Strickland wincing as he hits the deck.
Yeah, but they're working hard inside. Good passing. Brikowski right back to Strickland, and they get Marshallonis up on the first up fake. That's the key on defense here. You want to keep your feet planted here on the first up fake. There's a nice save by Brikowski, back over to Strickland. Now you see Marshallonis goes up the first time and picks up the foul.
Strickland all 10 of his points so far first quarter, and that breaks the streak. He was perfect in Portland Sunday, 6 out of 6. Continues to work on that aspect of his game. The other two finals, by the way, Detroit wins at New York 108-98, and Portland wins in Minnesota 106-94. Games in progress, third period. Utah 68-65 over Seattle as Higgins misses, and Strickland at full stride will take it in on Hardaway, who's back, and Brikowski to pull it back out. Now Strickland got Higgins to back off. That was a big mistake, and Rod just needed that small opening to hit on the baseline. Lead is 10, 65-55, out of bounds to the Warriors.
Yeah, Cummings in there with a hand on the defensive end, but Strickland, good penetration. You're right, they slack off on the double team. They give him the opening to put up that rainbow, and he'll take it every time.
Inbounds, Marshallonis, hacked by Willie Anderson. Spurs will get Reggie Williams back in, and he'll replace Willie.
He immediately has to pull Willie out because that is his third.
Reggie shaking off that hard fall he took a few minutes ago. The other games in progress at halftime. Denver over Sacramento 58-56. After one, Dallas over the Clippers 25-14, and Bowl right back in for Jim Peterson.
And in that game, Roy Tarpley rejoining the Dallas Mavericks against the Clippers after being on a 2-game suspension. He took the drug test, as we talked to Gar in our last broadcast. The test came up negative. He served his 2-game suspension. He's back after mixing practice on Friday.
Spurs beat the pressure, and Reggie Williams pours in another one from outside. This has got to be the best he has looked maybe his entire 3-year NBA career. He did not stick at the Clippers nor in Cleveland. He is on the long end of the feed by Brikowski, and Reggie Williams with a 9-point second quarter has put the Spurs up by 13. He's as big a factor as anybody in this run late in the second quarter.
And so is Frank Brikowski, Dave. So is Brikowski. That time on defense, Brikowski started the break.
Foul on Marshallonis, who ended up with the loose ball that they call him for the push, and that is his third. I think what we're seeing here is the Spurs rounding back into their late March form, the way they played when they ran off those wins over Portland and Phoenix and Detroit all in a row.
Exactly, that 5-game win streak. They're back in that same concentration form. And you look at the free throw situation, I think that pretty much tells the story. They get that concentration back, they get the free throws falling again, and they get their running game going.
Moore in to replace Cummings, and Bowl right back out. Tolbert is in. Both teams take size out for quickness. Manute with a 3-pointer already tonight. Sean with 9 points. He is the third Spur with a double-figure first half, and one of the biggest offensive explosions of the year by San Antonio, as Tolbert loses it, but they say out of bounds off the Spurs with 27.3 seconds.
Yeah, Strickland trying to reach in to strip the ball away. He's lucky he didn't get called for the foul.
71-56. Most of this lead built in just the last 3 minutes of the first half. Marciulionis, no look pass right to Sean Elliott. Moore in the 3-on-1. Elliott to finish it off.
Number 32, Sean Elliott.
And this is how good and how effective the Spurs can look when everything's working. It's been a while since they've been like this, but as Greg Popovich was saying in Portland the other night, when we play defense, when we concentrate and we rebound, we'll beat anybody. Mullen, a two-hopper to Tolbert. And a one-handed rebound by Johnny Moore, but the buzzer sounds before Strickland can get the shot off in time. But the Spurs have done their work. And they go to the locker room here in Oakland on top by 17. Our score, 73-56 Spurs.
Great personal service and low everyday prices.
And the NBA now standing at 7'6" and 3/4 and holding for the time being. Manute, thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you, too.
You're coming here to Golden State. How much of a change has that been for you after Washington? Do you like it better here in Oakland?
Oh, I like it better here. The weather is good for my family. And the second thing, me and Don, we've been knowing each other for a long time. When he was in Milwaukee and I was in Washington. And, when I get traded to Golden State, I got some people I know, and, in the team. I know Chris Mullin before I came to Golden State. I know Don. And I feel very good about it. Sometimes he used me. Sometimes he don't play me anywhere. I really don't give up. I just want to cheer for my team because I, really want to be a part of the team.
Well, as far as consecutive seasons go, you've joined another elite club, the over 200 block club, and you've got to be pretty proud of that. The second leading shot blocker in the history of the Golden State Warriors.
Oh, I think, I feel good about that, but, I should get some more. Sometimes when you don't play a lot, you don't get some more. You just go in there 1 minute, 2 minutes, and come out. But, I think that I can block some shot. That's part of my game. And sometimes, I want to take some shot, but I'm really not key about my offense. I want to play hard on defense, make something happen, make some people change in the shot. I'm really happy with that.
I got to ask you a little bit about your personal life, too. You just got back from Bridgeport, Connecticut, where you're given basically a key to the city. A big celebration up there for you because you really put that city on the map in your college days.
Oh, I wish I stayed there for that college for a couple of years. It would be better for me to stay there. But, the thing, didn't work right for me because my dad passed away in that year, and I have no help from home, so I got out there. When I went back there last weekend, that was very good. They give me a lot of people welcome me, all my teammates in the city, and I was really happy for that. The thing was, I didn't thought that it was going to be that nice, but soon I got there, everything worked very, very nice, and I was really happy they did that for me.
And one semester there, and you really put the place on the map. Now, I got to ask you about the reaction you're getting from the folks back home. How do they feel about it, and what's their opinion of your NBA playing days? A lot of people feel like that you've just been lost off the face of the earth, and you haven't been heard from since.
Oh, I think, I go home every year. I never stay here every summer. I go home, see my family and see the country. But I think, people live outside the city. There's super war going on there, so the people from southern Sudan, where I was born, they don't hear the news about me a lot because there are no transportation, transport, taking people there, either in the airport, airline, or car, something like that. We don't have that one because of super war going on. But I think people in northern Sudan, they know what I'm doing. They read a lot of paper, Arab newspaper, and the Egyptian newspaper, and American, American embassy sometimes. And I think, the only one thing is, I'm happy. I didn't dream that I was going to be coming to the United States someday and play here. And now, I'm playing here with, people that I never thought that I was going to be playing against them. And, I just want to work hard during the season. Then I go home in summer, let my people know that what I'm doing and everything.
Well, he's certainly making his presence known here in the United States. Manute Bol of the Golden State Warriors, our guest here at halftime. We'll be back with halftime statistics and more. The Spurs and the Warriors after this.
Thank you.
9 times in the second quarter, they looked extremely out of sync, and we're going to see that in the halftime statistics. The results of that, the Spurs with the huge edge in both shooting and rebounding, 57% to 43%. The Warriors in that second quarter only 6 of 19 from the field, in addition to the 9 turnovers. And the Spurs are hitting their free throws, although as usual, the Warriors are getting to the line more often. 5 rebound edge. And the big number, really, of all of them is the fact that they have committed 7 fewer turnovers. And they have a 9-point edge there. The Spurs with 16 points off turnovers 7 points off of the 6 San Antonio mistakes.
And the key against those turnovers again are not unforced errors, they're forced errors. The Spurs are getting back on defense, they're reaching, they're forcing them to pass and commit the turnovers.
Robinson with 17, Mullen with 16, top scorers, and the Spurs in charge by 17. We'll have more at halftime when we return. NBA on a busy night, winning at home so far, and Utah with a slight lead at home. Out of those 11 games, including ours, where Larry Brown has a 17-point, 73-56 advantage as the third quarter gets underway. And the fans here in Golden State want a little more than they saw in the second period. They clear it out for Richmond, challenging Willie Anderson and David Robinson. And Richmond with 10 points, as they also start with half-court pressure defensively. Not much of a surprise. They need to force the Spurs into some of the same mistakes that the Spurs forced them into in the second quarter. Robinson with a miss. Gets it back, though. And spots Sean Elliott for the jam, and Sean with 14 points. And that one out of bounds. Willie Anderson let it go. He thought that it was off of the Warriors.
So did Larry Brown, who told him let it go, let it go.
Yeah.
In that case, he also took an elbow from Richmond as well to push him away from the ball.
Hardaway only 3 of 11 in the first half, but he led everybody with 7 assists. Teagle with 12 to go with his team-leading total of 6 rebounds.
Now remember, the last time the Spurs shot 57.5% was against Portland, and they came back and only had a 25% shooting third quarter, plus a 12-point third quarter.
Ball away, Cummings. 8 first quarter points, sat most of the second. He's 4 of 9 in his return from a one-game absence. And a miracle shot by Hardaway, not looking at the bucket. He had his eyes peeled for Robinson, and with his body facing the sideline, hooked that one in.
And it came off his hip as well.
A lot of reasons for him to miss that, but he didn't. Robinson with good inside position. 19 points. Tough for Tolbert to keep him away from the bucket. Very seldom have we seen David pushed out today. Mullen with the leader, and out back in. Shooter's roll, he's got 18.
Well, that's what Tolbert's going to have to do, put more pressure on Robinson on the outside, but Robinson is so quick he can get around that.
Rod Strickland, big offensive first half. 13 points on 6 of 8 from the field. Just his third miss, and Tolbert, who started in place of Jim Peterson. Off to Teagle, pull up over Cummings. And Sean Elliott appeared to take his eye off that when he thought he could bring it in one-handed.
He's going to bring it down one-handed. He's looking for Cummings, who was breaking down the court.
Spurs with shooting and rebounding edges in the first half. As Tolbert sees that one slide off and then knocked out by Teagle. When the Spurs out-rebound their opponent this year, they're 34-9. When they outshoot the opposition, they're 41-5. Both those trends are holding in their favor so far.
And more importantly, when they lead at the half, they're 36-4.
All of which does not mean you should turn this one off. We're not suggesting that at all. We've seen the Warriors come back and win here already, and Robinson draws a trip to the line. Reach in is by Hardaway, his second.
What they're trying to do is collapse on Robinson on the outside. Don't let him get to the inside and get close to the basket. Hardaway is going to try and slap it away here. Anderson penetrates, trying to draw the double team off of David Robinson, and Hardaway really doesn't have much choice but to foul because Robinson had a clear shot at the basket. But you saw him, Anderson, drawing the double team inside and breaking Robinson free.
20 for David. One trend that you can't help but notice traveling with the Spurs is the autograph hounds. The crush gets worse and worse everywhere the Spurs go. Not to put him in the category of an entertainment superstar, but as far as NBA players or pro athletes outside of a Michael Jordan, he has to deal with it now about as much as anybody.
He couldn't get off the bus here at the arena tonight until they called out security to escort him into the Coliseum.
Hardaway. Their call Strickland for his second person. And the point about David being that it's getting to the point where it affects how he goes about his day, and it has to weigh more in his mind when he gets up in the morning. How am I going to get through what I have to get through?
And I guarantee it's only going to get worse for several reasons. Obviously, his Rookie of the Year award will come. They'll just give it to him. Probably could give it to him before the end of the season, but at the same time, he's got a commercial coming out with Nike that's really going to make him a superstar to not just basketball fans, but just to fans in general all across the United States and the world. So his popularity will increase significantly when those commercials come out.
Tim Hardaway, as a rookie, the 4th best assist average in NBA history for a first-year man. And 11 points. And comes up with the steal, but the block by David. Jess Kersey says it had touched the backboard and therefore is goaltending.
And I think David Robinson, in a way, almost would agree with this because he saw him kind of draw his arm back in. Watch as he goes up. He kind of cocks the arm. I think just his end, but that's...
nope, he got it.
That's a block.
Sean Elliott at the other end. He's got 16. Sean with all but 2 of his points in the middle 2 periods. Teagle barely beating the outstretched hand of Robinson, now with 14 points.
What Kersey was claiming is the ball had skipped off a little bit of the backboard, and that's when Robinson made the block, but that was not the case.
Our replay showed he had a couple of inches cushion, so David had an argument there. 8.5 minutes, 3rd period. Spurs by 13. They double Cummings low. Willie faking the 3. The 2 over Mullen. And right to Chris Mullen. Now Teagle inside of the Admiral for the finger roll. And Brown will get a 20-second timeout. He sees the makings of the run that Don Nelson hopes for. With 8:10 to go in the 3rd, the 17-point halftime lead is down to 11, and Brown doesn't want it to get inside of single digits.
You saw Willie that time pull up and shoot the ball. He should have penetrated again because he had no help on the outside. Very important to draw the defense, keep from clogging over on the left side, the strong side against Robinson.
Well, the Spurs are back home against the LA Clippers on Thursday night. And then Saturday, we'll be back with you here on HSE at 7:30. Sports Talk at 7, as always. And then the Kings and the Spurs right here Saturday evening, live on HSE.
And the schedule really favors the Spurs down the stretch because they have 4 of their last remaining 6 games at the Hemisphere Arena.
If they hang on and win this one, this is a huge game. And we've recounted the reasons as far as the standings are concerned, but also for the things that they've had in reach for most of the season. Club record in wins, NBA record in turnaround. That one off the top of the backboard by TC, and Tolbert starts the break to Hardaway. Now Mullen, and he's stripped by Strickland. Here's a foot race to watch, and Strickland wins it inside of Hardaway. Great finish after eluding Tim Hardaway's defense. Richmond answers. Well, you knew it would be this way. Warriors would come out with the breakneck pace in mind, and they stay within 11. And they continue to chase the ball around the perimeter. Open man is Cummings. What a spot by Robinson.
A spot by Robinson and a nice fade by Cummings to keep the shot from being blocked inside.
Terry with 12. Mullen using the body. He's got 20. Warriors keep the pressure on. Spurs have to stay effective in their half-court offense as a result. And they will call steps on Robinson. That time, Tolbert holding his position perfectly.
Yeah, and also he gave him a little forearm to keep him outside at the same time and force Robinson into trouble. He had no place to go.
Don Nelson with a timeout, 6 minutes and 49 seconds to play in a 3rd period. The Warriors raising the stakes, but still down by 11.
Jeep Wranglers.
Basketball has been brought to you in part by Sears Craftsman Tools, and real-life use from the Baja to the Arctic. When people depend on tools, they depend on Craftsman. Larry Brown with an 11-point lead, but he coached as hard as we've seen him with an 11-point lead during that timeout. He emphasized the fact that the Warriors have 7 layups in this 9 of 11 start in the 3rd quarter. So the Spurs need to force them to the perimeter. There is layup number 8. Terry Teagle, 8 of his 18 since halftime. And they have it down to single digits. in front of Wingate. Mullen with a look inside, and he spots Mitch Richmond, counted with the foul. And a costly foul it is. It is number 4 on Willie Anderson.
And more importantly, sends Richmond here to the line to turn this into a possible three-point play. Richmond trying to become the first rookie of the year to improve his field goal percentage and free throw percentage in his sophomore season.
Since former Warrior Keith Jamal Wilkes in 75, and Willie with a miss as the Warriors come up down by only 6. It's Tolbert fumbling it away. Robinson, a flat-footed steal. Cummings around Mullen and takes it in for 2. And we'll see if that starts the Spurs run the other way. That's as big as any play we've seen in this game. Could have been a 4-point game. Instead, it's still an 8-point Spurs lead. And Robinson with a block. Tolbert out fighting him, and Ronnie Nunn says, let's jump it up.
Good aggressiveness by David Robinson to follow the ball after going up for the block. Tolbert was in position to pick it up, but Robinson got a hand around it at the same time.
Tolbert giving up 6 inches. So David wins. 89-81. The Spurs 17-point halftime lead briefly was down to 6. They can make it 10. And it's Cummings, but a whistle before the shot. On Teagle. That's his second, team second.
See how quickly Cummings draws a double team inside.
And what they did so well in the second quarter was kick it back out, let somebody hit from outside or penetrate. Robinson. Tolbert again holds his own defensively, so David hits over him. He's got 23. And the lead is back to double figures, 91-81. A Golden State run that should not surprise the Spurs at all. Strickland took it away from Richmond. No look feed. Wingate. Cummings. That is how you want to run a fast break. The ball never touched the floor after midcourt.
Strickland sparks it by getting back on defense, getting his hand in there for his second steal just like that, stripping the ball away and starting the break. And Cummings on the left wing ready for it.
And so, after the steal by Strickland, the Spurs with a 12-point advantage. Timeout, 5:02 to go in the third.
When Dad bought his first GM.
Key here, Rod Strickland on defense, stripping the ball away. At the same time, notice that the Spurs, after Strickland gets a steal, stay in their passing lanes here. If they get it to Wingate, over to Cummings, both execute the fast break correctly.
That is up to the standards of a team like the Lakers. Fast break execution. 12-point game, 93-81. 6 straight by San Antonio. Teagle can't end the streak. And Strickland to Cummings. Right around Teagle and over Hardaway. And a loose ball foul will be called on Sean Elliott, his first.
Played going over the back, but again, going to the board, more important.
Warriors 11 of 15 here in the third quarter. Spurs 9 of 15. The Warriors have 4 of the 5 rebounds. So that category surprisingly just about even.
Oh, Rod Strickland took a real hard jolt inside. He'll be called for the foul against Hardaway. Take a look inside. Almost took his chin off here. Watch Strickland in front of Hardaway. That's where he wants to be there. And then you see he takes that hard hit right in the face. And they call that defensive block. Yeah.
Well, luckily, didn't open up any kind of a cut. Usually you see stitches after head bumping like that. Tim Hardaway, 7 of his 14 here in the third quarter. Frank Rakowski checks in for Cummings.
Rakowski getting a few boos from the fans. I remember the last time he was here, getting thrown out in the fight with Terry Teagle.
Well, rapidly becoming the Spurs answer to Bill Laimbeer around the league, I think. I guess every team can use that. Somebody's got to wear the black hat. 93-83. Elliott in stride and counted. Sean Elliott on the baseline. Contact by Jim Peterson, but it did not deter the first rounder from Arizona.
Look at this pass by Strickland to find Elliott breaking down the baseline, and look at him go around Peterson after he's fouled. I tell you, that's a product of conditioning down the stretch here.
And concentration. And that one thrown out of bounds. Kersey will put it right back on the baseline. 96-83. Don Nelson thought he had the rally to get back in the game. The Spurs had an answer. Second fastest coach ever to 600 wins behind only his former coach, Red Auerbach. In it goes, and Robinson, one more chance, and it won't fall, but he'll go to the line.
Yeah, but he answers his own rebound, goes back up, gets that second chance points, and in the process picks up the foul. Take a look again. This is Robinson driving. He's going against Peterson. Now he puts it up with the left hand. That's his shot. He gets his own rebound. He's fouled. He tries to get it on the continuation, and it just won't roll in.
Up to 24 points. Sharunas Marshallonis back in for the Warriors in place of Teagle. He just picked up his third foul. Tough loss for them. Teagle has really been hot in the third quarter. 8 of his 18 points. The records continue to fall for Robinson. He's added the free throws made in one season record already tonight. And the Spurs have rebuilt almost all of the halftime advantage with 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. Marshallonis, good feed. Peterson missed the hook. And Robinson with a board. Larry Brown wants a timeout. He had one to use because Don Nelson has already called 2 in the third quarter. And you can only carry 4 full timeouts into the fourth. The Spurs trying to win their 50th tonight. After tonight, they will have only 6 games to go, and here they are. They will be back home Thursday against the Clippers, and then Sacramento, at Charlotte Monday. Back home in a big matchup, the final meeting of the year with Utah on April 18th. Final road game of the year is Friday the 20th at Denver, and then back home Sunday afternoon at noon, April 22nd. A game that may decide whether they open at Phoenix or at home against Phoenix in the playoffs.
And they tell me they might decide to broadcast that particular game on national television.
Well, they probably should. Spurs haven't been seen on CBS this year. Here's what Phoenix has as they lead the Spurs by a game and a half. At Sacramento, Seattle, and Golden State. Home against Portland and Golden State before the closing matchup with the Spurs. If the Spurs win tonight, the deficit will be 1. And since they have already won the season series against Phoenix, that will affect the standings and where the Spurs need to be in the standings before that final game.
So if they go in still 1 game down on Phoenix on that final game and they still win the game and they tie, they win it because they've won the season series. That's the first tiebreaker.
And somehow, if the Suns really stumble and the Spurs get hot, if the Spurs go into that final game with a 1-game lead, they clinch the 4th spot.
Exactly.
And they haven't given up on catching Utah. If they win tonight, and if Seattle, which has hung tough against the Jazz all evening, somehow wins at the Salt Palace, the margin there for the division lead just a game and a half, and as you saw, they have 1 more at home against the Jazz.
They already have 30 wins at home this season, 30-7 record, and they have 4 of their last 6 at home, so the schedule favors them in trying to catch Utah.
Don Nelson, who won 7 straight seasons of 50+ at Milwaukee. Seen too many turnovers. 17, 9. All the Spurs have committed at a 9-point edge. Robinson again draws a trip to the line. Hardaway with his 3rd foul. No Warriors with more than 3. Teagle, Hardaway, and Marshallonis all with 3.
And they basically just caught the Warriors napping that time on a quick inbounds, and Robinson a quick break down the baseline.
Tim Hardaway, son of a playground legend in Chicago. And Robinson with only 1 missed free throw tonight. 8 of 9.
You know what? You take a look at Robinson, and so the Spurs go. He has trouble at the free throw line. It seems like he's contagious with the rest of the team. He starts making his free throws. He starts making his shots. So does the rest of the team.
Excellent point. Leadership cuts both ways. Sometimes the problems as well as the advantages. Hardaway. Robinson with his 10th rebound. Spurs back where they were at halftime, up by 17. Very impressive the way they cut off the Warrior run after they had a chance to come within 4. And Richmond knocks it out. Remember how they did that. That was that steal by Rod Strickland leading to the fast break. And what could have been a 4-point game became an 8-point game. And the Spurs have been dominant since. And now, for the first time, they lead by 19. 102-83. Hardaway, count it. And contact by Strickland, who has his 4th foul.
Big foul here because Strickland was in front of Hardaway, and he gets around him on the right side, which just picks up a step quickly on Strickland, who needs to get in front of him. He doesn't keep him from breaking down the baseline there. You see Hardaway gets a shot off. He's got a hand in his face, though. Robinson collapsed over. Good effort by Hardaway. You couldn't ask for much better defense from Strickland. Just kind of needs to keep him to the inside once again.
But out with 4 fouls and 15 points. Hardaway also 15 points. And still there. Rakowski, Moore, and Wingate now off the bench along with Robinson and Sean Elliott. 3-minute mark, 3rd quarter. Moore, who had a spectacular leaping follow shot and a 3-pointer in the 2nd quarter. The finger roll finally falls in for Robinson, who's had an enormous 3rd quarter, 14 of his 31 points.
And that was just speed because he goes down the baseline, he just curls back through the lane and takes a nice pass from Moore.
Chris Mullin quiet here in the 3rd. Rakowski holding off Marciulionis, and another swat by Robinson, saved by Sharunas Marciulionis, but right to David Robinson. And interesting that Don Nelson has used Manute Bol so seldom tonight. He's stuck with his smaller, quicker guys. Bol with only 5 minutes so far, all in the first half.
Any question why?
He does not feel that he can keep up with David Robinson. Moore with a miss. Peterson to Hardaway. Wingate back along with Moore, and it won't go. Tap also misses for Mullin. And they break out 3-on-3. This time Moore doing the right thing in holding it out. Brown asking him to push it up faster in the first half. 10 on the shot clock. And Moore wide open, so here's another 3. But it's chased down by Hardaway. 1:35 in the quarter. And the Spurs still up by 19. Here's Richmond all the way.
And I got to tell you, I think David Robinson needs a rest quickly. He is really huffing and puffing.
Leaning over, grabbing the shorts, and he's got a pretty good reason to be because he has played his head off in the 3rd quarter. The other question about the Spurs' competitiveness here again, it follows the lead of David. When he slacks off or appears to, they take their lead from him, and he plays as hard as he has tonight. That, like the negative part, becomes a very positive trend. First 2 by Rakowski, and the lead now up to 20, or make it 19 again. 106-87. Richmond over Robinson. He's got 11 of his 19 here in the 3rd. But they just can't make much headway. Spurs aren't letting him. 40-second mark. Elliott double clutches and draws the foul.
34, Terry Cummings returns, replacing.
We'll get Jim Peterson for his 3rd as Terry Cummings returns, and Robinson will finally get that rest.
He needs it too, because he was just in the last, I'd say, 1.5 minutes that he was in the game. He was really dog tired down the court.
We've talked about how the Warriors like to drive aggressively, but a team like the Spurs doing that more than usual because they don't have a Bol in there, and they know that no one's going to deter whatever they try to do inside. So we've seen Reggie Williams in his great 2nd quarter drive extremely hard. Robinson and Anderson likewise. And a huge night in the works for Robinson. Not much at all from all 3 Warrior centers.
1 against 3.
They combined for 24 fewer points. Rod Higgins in for a quick 3-pointer. Last year set a club record, 39% from outside the 3-point stripe. That is his 62nd this season out of 180. And it's 108-92. They're within 16. No look feed by Wingate, but off the fingertips of Elliott with 18.7 seconds.
And when you look how many three-point threats they have, Mullen, Higgins, Richmond, Hardaway, Marshallonis, and Manute Bol.
They've made 171 more than the Spurs as a team. As you pointed out in the first half, they've made more than the Spurs have tried all year. Wouldn't be a shock if they look for a three here. 8 seconds as Moore crowds Hardaway. And Higgins set up for the three, but goes to Marshallonis, and it falls with 1/10 of the second in the quarter. So a mild Warrior comeback after they fell back by 19. And as we head to the fourth, the Spurs, in search of their 50th win, are in great shape here in Oakland.
Children
on pace to become the highest scoring game the Spurs have played all year, 108-94. Previously, the highest scoring game was the last time they came here, that overtime win for the Warriors, 144-135. And after 3 in that game, the Spurs led 97-92.
And you asked, why did David Robinson need a rest? He's already scored 31 points in this game.
And he begins the fourth quarter on the bench. Reggie Williams in. Wingate underneath to Cummings, guarded by Higgins and Hardaway. And Brakowski trying to tap it in. The teammates fight for it. Terry Cummings, who set that offensive rebounding club record with 16 here in February. An offensive board there and his 18th point. Higgins, another three. Boy, they may let the threes just fly at will here in the fourth quarter, down by 14.
You know, another staggering stat is both Mullen and Higgins each have scored more three-pointers than the entire Spurs team.
We can go on and on and on with how many more teams have three-point threats than the Spurs. Sometimes it's amazing the Spurs have done as well as they have with that huge lack in their offensive arsenal. That's 11 for Reggie Williams. And Marshallonis with a three-point chance at the other end. As the foul is Frank Brakowski's third.
Calling on Brick. Marshallonis finds an opening here. He takes it. Brakowski a little late on reacting on defense. Fouls.
And Rod Strickland has returned. So has Chris Mullen for Golden State. And Marshallonis. No three-point play. Warriors also have backed off that half-court defensive pressure, which really only bothered the Spurs once. But they've cut the 19-point lead down to 13. Williams stays hot. And we really can't overemphasize, Greg, what he could mean if he regains his form after they picked him up so cheap on waivers.
What he would give this team off the bench, incredible, an outside shot that they could go to rest other people.
And a guy who's not afraid to go inside. Here's Strickland with a board, off the miss by Teagle. Flanks are full, 4-on-2, throws it away. Hardaway times the steal perfectly, and it's 3-on-1 the other way, and it's Mullen inside of Cummings.
You hate to say it, but that's probably one time Strickland should have not passed the ball.
Marshallonis almost steals it again. So does Mullen. And it's 2-on-2, and it's Wingate after contact by Rod Higgins. Foul on Higgins' first. And the first team foul. And Reggie Williams going to come out as Willie Anderson returns.
Oh, 4 points in the quarter already. 13 in the game. Williams has really been a big and a pleasant surprise for the Spurs. In just the last 2 games, he's coming off that game where he had 11 minutes and 10 points against Portland.
And as Wingate hits, what that means is back-to-back games, Reggie Williams has his high as a Spur. His season high was 24 well before he joined the team. David Wingate knows this from having played with Reggie in high school and college. He's seen what he can do when he is confident. And he slowly saw the confidence erode. And a steal by Cummings. Anderson across the paint to find Sean Elliott. Double clutch. 23 by Sean. And for Elliott, he is 1 point off of his season and career high. The lead is right back to 17. Marshallonis, shot clock down to 6. Spins into a trap, and they will call the block. The Spurs had the right idea here, but they still call a blocking foul on Rod Strickland, his 5th of the game, and the 2nd against the team. So he will immediately come out. And now Reggie Williams comes in, but it's not for Strickland yet. Brown trying to get Sean Elliott out, and now they have changed the call. It's not on Rod Strickland, it's on Willie Anderson, and that is his 5th.
Now the reason why Strickland stayed in the game, because originally none signaled Strickland, then he changes it to Anderson. Anderson checks out of the game after he's verbally told by none. That was his 5th.
Ronnie not explaining everything to the Spurs coaches. And Brown now going to Jess Kersey. So apparently the team he has on the floor will remain so, and it is. And they'll call a foul this time on Williams as Mullen tried to go around him, and it was number 3 on Reggie. Reggie became a father Thursday. Jasmine, his new baby daughter, born to his wife Kathy. Our congratulations. And another whistle. Another one on Reggie for a hold, and quickly Reggie with 4, and the team also with 4. Strickland also 4, Anderson 5. Those are the 3 in trouble for Larry Brown. A lot of confusion between Nunn and Kersey. And Kersey having to go to the scorer's table to explain this.
I think they're getting the hand signals confused, because originally they put up a 4 with Anderson 4-0, then they changed it, and now once again they had a little trouble with that call.
They're changing the board. This one has 4. Is everybody happy over here?
Well, now I think they're taking it away from Williams, and they say he has 3.
Tell him Strickland has 4.
Team fouls. As usual, the Spurs had committed more than Golden State. They have given one to Strickland and taken it away from Williams. So Rod Strickland now with 5. As Teagle works on the double team. Good turnaround move, but he's short on the jumper, and a jump ball, Williams and Mullen.
Williams is not backing down at all, is he?
Well, now he doesn't have to. He's back to 3 fouls. What's happening is Ronnie Nunn is signaling one thing and then correcting himself, and they'll re-jump this one. He definitely said the foul was on Williams a moment ago, and likewise he said it was on Strickland, and then changed it to Willie Anderson. So he's got to get his signal straight before he turns to the scorer's table. That's the source of the problem, and we'll have a 3rd time and hope it's a charm. Williams and Mullen getting their aerobics in, and finally the Warriors control. Another 3 by Higgins, his first miss. Teagle to Mullen, and into the hands of Reggie Williams.
What a pass by Terry Teagle. No look, over his shoulder to Mullen.
If they had converted that, that's the type bucket that starts rallies. And that is the type thing that ends it. 17 on the easy banker by Rod Strickland. The lead is 19, and Marciulionis can't pick up the low pass.
Costly turnover, unforced error like that.
8:38 to go. Spurs have beaten back every challenge from Golden State. They have given them no reason to think about forcing another overtime here as they inch closer to victory number 50. Robinson rebounded by Teagle. Only Wingate is back, and here's Mullen. Mullen with 24, but compared to what he's done in the first 3 meetings, that's not much damage, really, and only 8 here in the second half.
Not much of a press this time by the Warriors, but look for him to pick that up.
As they go to the double team, Elliott finding the open spot, but it's rebounded by Mitch Richmond. Behind the back move, and then interrupted by Strickland, but Mullen sneaks inside. 120 to 105. Warriors will not quit. It is up to the Spurs to match their effort the rest of the way, and that still belongs to San Antonio.
Now the Spurs have to respond. They've got to take it right back to the basket. They've got to get back in their passing game.
Hardaway back in for Marciulionis. This is a team that all season long has had to come from behind. They started the season 4-14. You figure they could kiss the playoffs goodbye early, but they're 31-26 since. and only 2 games out of the picture. Strickland, 19. 21, his career high at Sacramento Saturday, and he is in good shape to get a big career game here. As Hardaway goes inside for his 19th point. Tim Hardaway, the first rookie point guard to lead the highest scoring team of the NBA since Ernie DiGregorio with Buffalo his rookie year in 73-74. And Robinson will be called for steps.
Yeah, he took an extra step as he tried to collapse. He wanted to go up the first time, but I think he just forgot to fake. What he wanted to do was draw the up fake and then go in.
Golden State will use a timeout. 7 minutes and 2 seconds to play. The Spurs by 15 here in Oakland. Get this foul situation. if Ronnie Nunn is now to be believed and has corrected the scores, he's changed 3 foul totals. Strickland now with 4 instead of 5. Williams with 4 instead of 3. Anderson with 4 instead of 5.
But stay tuned. Could change again.
It may very well. Rod Higgins to Hardaway. And they throw it away. Hardaway trying to get Higgins.
And that's what happens when you have David Robinson right down your throat.
Six minutes and 40 seconds to play. Robinson with 31-3. There's his first 2 in the 4th quarter. And he may have another 40-point outing in him tonight. That deflection off of Williams.
His career high comes against Golden State where he scored 41.
Johnny Moore back in. And Reggie Williams to the bench with 13 points, his high as a Spur. Three-pointer by Richmond. This is everything. So they have indeed hoisted up the threes. Not nearly the damage in the last meeting here, especially not from Mullen, who set the club record with 6 made three-pointers in that game. He doesn't have any tonight. Robinson, other side this time. One more chance. In strong, easily with 35.
Oh, he got the bounce off the side of the rim that time. Was able to take it right back in.
They slip it inside from Richmond to Mullen. Blocked by Robinson. Knocks it out, but the putback by Terry Teagle. On his 30th birthday today, he's got 20 points, 126-109.
Now, if you're the Spurs, it's just a matter of matching the Warriors.
Yeah, you can afford to trade buckets if you're in the black jerseys. Warriors not putting defensive pressure on. They try to double Robinson low, but quickly he kicks it out. 3 to shoot. And Rod Strickland almost off 1 foot in the corner. A touch shot. You heard a touch passes. That one he never really grabbed. He just tapped up toward the bucket. And it almost went. Johnny Moore takes it away from Hardaway underneath as Brown gets a timeout. The Spurs, who have not lately been the greatest front runners in the league, have been tonight. That's not been a problem at all. 5:13 to play. The Warriors made 1 run at him. Got within 6. That's as close as they've been this half, and they're right where they were at halftime, down 17.
Get the jump on the 1991 season with the Spurs Early Bird Special. Only a $100 deposit gets you priority for next year's prime season seats. Guarantee your seats for the 1991 Super Season today. Use your major credit card. Get in on the Early Bird Special today.
That's the Spurs spirit. Good times are yours. Good times. A fast-breaking fiesta. You and the Spurs.
Call 224-4611 today.
Jeep telecast of Spurs here on HSC. You'll see Saturday night's broadcast of the Sacramento Kings and the Spurs at 7:30, and then next Wednesday live from the Hemisphere Arena, the Spurs play host to the Midwest Division leading Utah Jazz.
We hit the 5-minute mark in this one, and the Spurs up by 17 points, 126-109. Just 9 points away from their team's scoring high, which happened here, 135 in the overtime loss. Anderson barely beating the shot clock. Willie with his 9th point.
You recognize that basket? Same one he used to beat Portland at the arena.
Inside. It is Chris Velp, the former Spur, with his first two. Now, this is an amazing story. He had arthroscopic knee surgery on his right knee March 23rd. That's just 2.5 weeks ago. And there he is out there in the matchup with Cummings. That's the fastest recovery from any kind of knee surgery I've ever heard of, and Anderson draws the foul.
Of course, he was swapped with the Spurs' Uwe Blab now. The trade that occurred just before the deadline back in February. Here's a look at it again as Anderson penetrates. You see Velp reach over across the forearm there to draw the foul.
The line for the Spurs, number 40, Willie Anderson.
Velp in a Golden State uniform.
2 shots.
Not much action, really, just 20 games before tonight. So they're going to get their foreign connection in. Marciulionis.
Marciulionis at one time was really, if lack of a better term, a whipping boy, in this case for head coach Don Nelson, oftentimes yelling at Marciulionis when he intended for the entire team to hear it, somewhat like Doug Moe would do in a huddle. Yell at one particular player at the same time not trying to yell at Alex English. Kind of save a few of the egos.
Maybe testing the rookie to see how much he can take. Velp, rebound Moore.
Well, he claims with Marciulionis, he's one of those guys that has to be yelled at to perform well.
Anderson missed the jam. One of the Warriors with a hand on it. We've now seen all the Warriors except another former Spurs center, Mike Spreck, as Cummings connects. That's 20. With an ankle that had him a questionable starter right up until he warmed up before the game. In fact, on the bus from the hotel, he had indicated to the coaches he probably wouldn't try to go tonight, and then only before we came on the air did he decide otherwise. Marciulionis, no look underneath, and Velp draws the foul.
I'll tell you one thing Marciulionis does do very well is he's an excellent passer inside. Marciulionis' big problem was getting back on defense. He'd have a tendency to shoot the basket, and if he missed, he'd follow his own shot. Well, Nelson says he wants his quick players back on defense to prevent things that are happening tonight to the Spurs, and they're able to run against the Warriors. And Nelson says he's a lot like himself. He feels like when Nelson was playing with Boston that he was the type of player that needed to be yelled at in order to get himself up for a game. He feels like Marciulionis is the same way, but he's slacked off here considerably lately, much like Larry Brown and Sean Elliott.
Well, that situation has definitely produced good results for the Spurs. Elliott playing much more free and easy. 3:18 to go. And starting to leave as they continue to trail by 19, 131 to 112. No letdown by the Spurs tonight. It has been one of their most impressive performances on the road all year. They've got a string of those. Marciulionis, 2-on-2, takes it in and has 14. They began scouting him 5 years ago. Don Nelson Jr. started making some trips over to the Soviet Union. So they worked on him and worked on him, and finally the situation between the two countries athletically improved to the point where you've seen the influx of so many from behind the Iron Curtain, or what used to be known as that this year.
And they were so impressive that they signed him to a 3-year contract, a third of which goes back home to his folks in Lithuania. And a lot of times they were talking about also to the Soviet Union as well.
Marciulionis ties up Strickland as Robinson comes back for Cummings. Tom Tolbert in for Chris Velp.
Now it's curious now, since Lithuania has declared their independence from the Soviet Union, does a third of his salary still go back to Russia?
That's a good question. Ball control by the Warriors. Kelvin Upshaw, who played briefly in the first half, is in. Teagle with a spin. Can't get it down. Strickland to Anderson. And now Robinson. Wingate against Velp. And now Strickland almost matched his season high with 22. With 21, rather. His career high is 22 from New York last year. Tolbert.
What the Spurs are trying to do now on offense is just use as much time off the shot clock as possible before putting up the shot.
Down to a minute 45. This one will become number 50 for the Spurs. They will go to 50 and 26. They will keep the heat on the Jazz and the Suns of the Western Conference. 2 to shoot. The alley-oop to Robinson just in time, but it's rebounded by his former backup, Velt. And they'll go back over 500 on the road as Marciulionis takes it deep. They'll improve to 20-19 away from Hemisphere. Just one road win away from a plus 500 road record. That's always a mark of an NBA power in addition to 50 wins.
Both teams consider this a must-win. More important for Golden State, I think, simply because they're trying to make the playoffs, and this effectively will probably eliminate their chances of making the playoffs this season.
And of course, the Spurs have known for some time that they're in. They just want to make sure they play at home in the first 2 games. Tolbert with 55 seconds, 131 to 120. The Spurs 4 points away from matching their season high for scoring. Moore has it ripped away from Marciulionis, but all the loose balls have carried the Spurs' way tonight. Those they haven't chased down have been right in their hands. 5 to shoot. And Robinson fouled by Velt with 33.5 seconds.
Robinson's game continues to pick up over the last several, including the game against Portland where he had 36. Tonight already, he has 35. Going to the line and make it 36 or 37, perhaps.
Spurs get Johnny Moore out. And they want to get Reggie Williams in. As you look at the 50-win history of the Spurs, as you see the last time they did it, also the club record 53 wins. 52 a couple of times. And in the ABA days, they did it twice.
Tonight they break that.
Number 2, Reggie Williams returns.
And they are in striking distance, with 4 of the last 6 being at home. They're within striking distance and setting a new club win record for a single season.
So David right at his average against the Warriors this year, 36 points. Haven't come close to stopping him. Held it up shot, rebounded by Elliott, 24 seconds. Wingate, Strickland, Robinson, and Williams out there to close play for the Spurs, and Smrek finally does see some action. Too bad Uwe Blab didn't get in. They have a reunion. Elliott fall away. Here comes Marciulionis with 6 seconds. It is academic. The Spurs win this one by 10, and they have won 50 in 1989-90. Larry Brown has seen his ball club improve by 29 games this year. That matches the second best turnaround in NBA history when Lou Alcindor joined Milwaukee in 1969-70. They improved by 29. Brown will go for 3 more wins, which would tie Boston. Our final score here in Oakland, 132 to 122, San Antonio.
In April on Paragon Cable.
Come home to laughter and fun variety for the whole family. As we celebrate TV you've got to see all National Cable Month long.
The brightest stars and fresh new faces.
Choice kids programming.
To delight and enlighten the minds of the young.
And the young at heart.
Oh my God, it's time!
Live quality sports action that takes you from the edge of your seat to exclusive final round action.
Quality music specials.
Oh, wow.
From the rock and rollful to the soulful.
And I need your love.
You made the right choice.
A whole April full of entertainment for less than the cost of a night out for dinner and a movie. Think about it.
On Paragon Cable, where we're celebrating National Cable Month all April.
You're watching San Antonio Spurs basketball on Home Sports Entertainment, Paragon Channel 22.
Ingredients.
Our final score before the sold-out house here in Oakland, 15,025. The Spurs 132 to 122 over the Golden State Warriors. They win the season series 3-1. First time that's happened in 4 years. And as we mentioned a moment ago, more importantly, they win their 50th of the year. And they keep the pressure on both the Utah Jazz and the Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference. Right this moment, they are just 1 game behind Phoenix, 2 games behind the Utah Jazz. Prior to the report of the final from the Salt Palace, which we now have, and in fact they remain 2.5 back because the Jazz hold off Seattle 114-102. Final there. Spurs had a chance to crack here. They had a 17-point halftime lead with a brilliant second period. The Warriors came out hot in the third quarter, as could be expected. They cut it to 6 at one point, had the ball, but Rod Strickland was able to come up with a big steal. A fast break finished off by Terry Cummings. So what could have been a 4-point game back to 8 for the Spurs, and they were never headed from that point on. They led going away and coasted to the 10-point margin of victory. So the record for the Spurs now 50-26. They are now 20-19 on the road with just a couple of more contests. One at Charlotte on Monday. Later next week they will be at Denver, and they go back home with memories of one of their best start-to-finish performances of the year on the road here tonight. Again, our final 132-122 in favor of San Antonio. The executive producer of Home Sports Entertainment is Jack Stanfield. Senior producer Robert Steinfeld. Tonight's game produced and directed by Jerry Collins. Our technical director Scott Garifo. Engineer in charge Judd Parker. Graphics coordinator Bruce Javits. Our statistician Jeff Spire. Remote facilities provided by Northwest Mobile Television. Remember to join us at 7:30 Saturday night as the Spurs return home to face Wayman Tisdale and the Sacramento Kings. Once again, our final score, San Antonio 132, Golden State 122. Stay tuned, the Spurs post-game show from Oakland. Coming up next here on Home Sports Entertainment.
Spurs basketball is brought to you by Pizza Hut, the home of America's favorite pan pizza. Pizza Hut is making it great. And your Texas Ford dealers are participating advertisers. You're watching San Antonio Spurs basketball on Home Sports Entertainment, Paragon Channel 22.
Hey skiers, listen to this. Now there's a skiers network that will give you up-to-the-minute skiing conditions at the hottest ski areas in the country. All the skiing information and conditions from the major ski areas like Snowbird, Vail, Mammoth, Park City, Breckenridge, and Killington. We've got them all. We can arrange everything for you. We can book your air and ground transportation. We can arrange for a lodge, condo, motel, or hotel. We can help with lift tickets. We've done all of the work so that you don't have to. Ski America is the first and foremost skiers network. We'll provide information on great spring skiing from Colorado, Oregon, Utah, California, New Mexico, and the East. Whether it's for a couple, for a quick getaway, or your whole family, or a larger group, we're ready to take care of you. Dial 1-900-860-4420. Get started on your ski vacation now. Remember the number, 1-900-860-4420. Call now. We'll see you at the lift.
This is the San Antonio Spurs post-game report. A review of today's game, plus highlights and scores from around the NBA.
And the Warriors 122 are final. On the HSE Spurs postgame report after the 10-point Spurs victory, Greg Simmons standing by with David Robinson.
Boy, what a performance. You like playing Golden State. We go back, let's see, 38 points the last trip here, then 41 in San Antonio. Now you have another 36. So this is a team you'd probably like to see in the playoffs.
We would. I think they're struggling there with the playoff situation, but we like to run up and down the floor, and this team definitely does that. They isolate a lot, and they like to go one-on-one, and they're a little bit smaller, so we try and take advantage of that.
Also, you exploit their weakness inside with Tolbert, of course, Manute Bol, and Jim Peterson. You've got the quickness edge on it, and you used it tonight.
Right. I mean, this is a unique situation where we have size, quickness, and we just try and punch it inside, and it's been effective for us the 3 times that we played them.
Well, here's a good example of how you get open by penetrating inside, and at the same time, you also draw the defense away from you and are able to penetrate and get the basket.
Yeah, well, our guards and our forwards really like to drive the ball, and I think they get the opportunity here, and that's just the way you have to play against these guys. Willie's good with the ball. They come in, collapse. They're always gambling. They're always trying to steal. And, there's Manute going after the block. And when he goes after the block, I have to hit the boards.
Well, it's interesting, too. You seem to have the control inside on the fast break tonight that you haven't had in other games. It's executed to perfection.
A lot better. Coming off the Portland game, I think that was the real game that turned us around. I think we got together against Portland, and we really started to bear down and play better, play with more confidence. And coming in here tonight, we felt like we had a real good opportunity to win this game. It was important to us, and we got it done better.
You considered it a must-win because you're chasing Phoenix from the home court advantage, of course, in the Western Conference playoffs. But now you have a chance to possibly catch Utah for the Midwest Division Championship.
We tossed a couple games that would put us in obviously a great situation right now because Utah's been struggling lately. They've been playing. They have a tough schedule down the stretch, and now we've got to make up for that because we're getting a second opportunity, which you don't get that too often. So hopefully down the stretch we have 4 more games at home. If we can win those and take care of business on the road, we'll be all right.
You look like you're really pushing it to the limit there in the third quarter because you were huffing and puffing towards the end. You needed the rest, didn't you?
Yeah, this has been our longest road trip in this part of the season, and I think it caught up to me a little bit.
All right, but you go home, you have 4 of the next 6 at home to wrap up the season. That's got to feel good.
That's a great feeling. I think between Phoenix, Utah, and us, we have one of the best records coming up. 4 games at home and 2 games on the road, and we got Phoenix and Utah at home, so we're in a good situation.
David Robinson, the big gun tonight for the San Antonio Spurs. His 36 points, also 12 rebounds. At the same time, 4 block shots help propel the Spurs to victory tonight. Dave Barnett.
132-122 final for the Spurs over the Warriors. We return on the Spurs post-game report from Oakland in a moment.
As you can see, the house is completely renovated with the very best heating and cooling system.
Must be a Lennox. So we put in this new heat pump, and our bills are really
down.
Exactly.
Must be a Lennox.
Charlie, the Johnsons are having something delivered.
Mm-hmm.
It's a new heat pump.
That's nice, dear.
One system is so great, they buy it this early.
Must be a Lennox.
Must be a Lennox.
Mazda isn't shouting about its spring sales event. Not with values like the 626. With more room and a better basic warranty than Honda Accord, it's priced $966 less. And now get $1,000 cash back plus air or automatic at no extra charge. With up to $1,810 in value, we don't have to shout. But maybe we want to.
At your local Mazda dealers now.
If you're a fitness enthusiast, don't miss The Weight Room, a weekly half-hour television program produced specifically for you. Each week, we examine how world-class athletes prepare for competition. We demonstrate specific weight training techniques used by the experts and discuss diet, exercise, fitness, and nutrition. We also examine the future of fitness and sports medicine, all right here on The Weight Room. Tune us in each week here on this channel.
Sports fan, want to win $100? Just answer 6 sports trivia questions.
Sure, like what?
Can't tell. Call 1-900-CAN-I-WIN.
Spurs 132-122 over Golden State. We're going to check the final stats in a moment. What they're going to show is across the board. There wasn't really one area in particular where the Spurs were dominant. They were dominant in all areas.
But what you got to be happy about if you're a Spurs fan is 82% from the free throw line finally.
56% to 52% from the field. And equally impressive is the fact that they only gave the Warriors one more free throw attempt than they themselves got. That's how the Warriors stay close or win so many games. But that turned into actually an advantage for the Spurs. 6 rebound edge. Robinson, the only man to double figures with 12. 15 Spur turnovers. They forced 22, a 29-24 edge in points off of turnovers. Mullen led the Warriors with 26. Teagle next with 20. And besides the 36 by Robinson, 23 by Elliott. And that is a new season and career high for Sean. Cummings had 20, Strickland 19, and Reggie Williams in 14 minutes, his high as a Spur with 13 points. 132-122, our final here. And we'll come back and check the other finals around the NBA when the Spurs postgame show returns in a moment.
Hi, I'm Bob Vila. You know, for years I've been helping people turn average homes into their dream houses, like Dave and Marianne Corbett. They love this place, but they can still see room for improvement.
That's right, Bob. You know, for one thing, the kitchen, it's too dark.
Maybe some track lighting would help.
Oh, that's an idea.
Most people don't realize how easy it is to improve a home and increase its value with a few simple projects. And Time Life Books' Home Repair and Improvement series can guide you through practically any job. Call now for your first book, Kitchens and Bathrooms, for a free 15-day examination. Other books will follow about every other month, always on the same free trial basis. Keep only those you want, cancel anytime. Remember, your home is your biggest investment. With a little help from Time Life Books, you can make sure it keeps on growing in value.
To examine kitchens and bathrooms free for 15 days, call 1-800-228-3266. Keep it and pay just $10.99 plus shipping and handling. You'll also get this Stanley tape measure free. So call 1-800-228-3266.
There's action for your chance at the Miller Lite three-point payoff. A contestant will be drawn at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and when a Spurs player hits the first three-pointer, the winner receives 2 tickets to the April 14th Spurs game. All selected entries become eligible for the grand prize drawing. 2 tickets to the first home playoff game, courtesy of HSE. To enter the Miller Lite three-point payoff, send your name, address, date, time, phone number, and social security number to Miller Lite three-point payoff. All entries must be postmarked by midnight April 10th.
Well, the Spurs win number 50, and they had hoped to get some help from the Seattle Supersonics, who played in Utah tonight, and the Warriors were just hoping for the opposite. They wanted Utah to defeat Seattle, and as we will see when we go through the NBA scoreboard, that's exactly what happened.
And a big second quarter tonight for the Spurs, maintain that edge over the Warriors. They don't buckle in the third quarter. They keep them. They match them basket for basket, but scoring 40 points in the second quarter is what kept them in ahead.
Let's check the scoreboard. First of all, the finals from the East. Boston got 24 from Kevin McHale, and they win easily at New Jersey. It was a great night for road teams this evening. Atlanta with 29 from Dominique Wilkins wins at Philadelphia. Houston by 3 at Charlotte. Akeem with 27 to lead that one. Milwaukee wins at Orlando with 31 points from Ricky Pierce. At Indiana, the Pacers take a home win behind Chuck Person's 25 points. Detroit, a winner at Madison Square Garden. Isaiah led him with 21, Ewing with 26. Portland by 12 at Minnesota. Clyde Drexler had 26 points, and there's the Utah final, 114-102. So they still lead the Spurs by 2.5, with Karl Malone leading the way with 33 points. And at Sacramento, Denver 121-113. Blair Rasmussen with 26 points. And our last score from the LA Sports Arena, 4:55 to go in that game, and the Clippers had come back to tie Dallas after trailing it early by double figures, 82-82. So the Spurs, who had a shaky start to this road trip, with losing the 19-point early edge at Dallas and then losing again at Portland, end up breaking even.
They come away 2-2, and that's exactly what they want, going home for 4 of 6 at home to wrap up the season.
And remember to join us Saturday night live at 7:30. That's our next HSE telecast, as the Spurs will play host to the Sacramento Kings. Now this is Dave Barnett for Greg Simmons saying so long from Oakland, where once again the final score tonight, the Spurs 132 and the Warriors 122. This has been an exclusive presentation of Home Sports Entertainment.
You've been watching the San Antonio Spurs post-game report, a review of today's game along with highlights and scores from around the NBA. This is an exclusive presentation of Home Sports Entertainment.